So I've done some drawings of ellipses, as you can see over here. And some of them have axes and some of them don't. How I kind of like to start sometimes is maybe with 4 points, kind of like that. You have to try and assume it with your own eye. And then you can shape it as close to the line as possible. Like maybe your first attempt may not be like so perfect, but you can try it again. Here's a better elliptical. Although the corner over there is probably too wide, too bent. So it should be a little smooth, like slimmer towards the end. Normally if you have an interior design or architecture course, they would ask you to practice on your ellipticals or circles. I like to draw 4 points because it initially helps me to get in the speed of things. Here's one I just drew. And then I just connect it with the 4 dots by drawing 2 lines across it. You can also do it without the dots. This one is a little bit out of shape because this is a little flatter. An elliptical circle should be a little rounded at the top like that. I have to clean this up a little and redo that one. Let's try it without the little dots, just with the lines. So when you draw the line, you can just draw it a little bit and continue on. If you're not confident that you can just draw the line straight. So when you're drawing a straight line, it's important for your hand to be relaxed and just slide it while lifting your wrist up slightly. If you press your wrist down, it's got more control and it's more for like a longer line. But if you're going for a shorter line, you don't really need to press it so hard. You can just do it really lightly. You're doing this. It's a short line, so I'm pressing my wrist down. But on a longer line, I can just do this, relax. I'm lifting my wrist and doing that. I'm not putting my wrist like that. If I put my wrist like this, it's gonna look darker and it's a little bit less natural. I prefer to lift my wrist up a little bit like that, and then you can control it in a more natural way versus if I pressed it down, it's a little bit edgy here. Edges are coming out over here. So it's different styles and how you're comfortable with and how you feel comfortable drawing. I definitely wouldn't stress out too much about following other people's techniques because your hand really is controlled by how you have practiced. If you're comfortable after practicing multiple times and you really feel that you can draw a straight line or an elliptical without pressing your wrist down and doing that, because I don't find that pressing my wrist down while drawing an elliptical really helps me. It does help at maybe like the corners when you're tidying up the edges like that, but when you're doing a longer curve like this, it's a little hard to put your wrist down and press it. So I would stay above. I would put my wrist above while I'm drawing. So yeah, doing this for my project, and it's a lot of lines, it's a lot of ellipticals that we have to draw 1 page of lines, 1 page of ellipticals and circles. And these are my circles that I've drawn, and they're not perfect. For example, this one, I did it really lightly because I found that by doing it lightly, with my wrist lifted of course, really helped to get the circle 360 circumference, more refined, less stressed out looking, really smooth. But if I had just pressed it, especially if it was a big circle and just pressed, it definitely wouldn't have come out like this. After you do a light circle like that, what you can do is just shade it. You can shade it darker on the edges. That's when your shading test really, your shading skills really show. So I wouldn't go dark first. I would go very light, relax the wrists, make sure your elbows are moving, your right or your left elbow if you're a left-hander. Make sure your elbow is a little bit off the table, but control your shoulder. Control your shoulder all the way to the wrist, and then you'll be fine. So yeah, I hope this helps people who have projects on doing these basic drawing techniques, and probably do another one soon on either cones and cylinders. So okay, see you guys later.